Hi, my name is John, and this video is about mastering exposure for street photography by working with what I call sensor gain priority. You know, the trick for me was a change in mindset about the exposure triangle. Being an old film guy, I always thought of ISO, the sensitivity of the film, to be at the bottom of the exposure triangle, since it could not be changed once the film was loaded into the camera. Now, when digital came along, I began thinking of it as a set and forget, only as a last resort, especially in the early days when noise was a big problem. But with modern cameras and processing tools, the sensor gain is a much more powerful tool. So, to help me deal with this, I decided to think of our three exposure parameters as a seesaw rather than a triangle. The base of the seesaw becomes the reference point, with the left-hand rider being the lead and the right-hand rider being the follow, depending on where the left-hand rider is on the seesaw. So now back to the film analogy. The reference point would be ISO, or film speed. The lead would be aperture and aperture priority, and the follow would be shutter speed. But with digital, all of our parameters can now move. What if the reference point became what we thought of as our exposure starting point? So to use the aperture priority mode, aperture would now be the point of reference. Then we could have ISO, or sensor gain, as our adjustable parameter, with our shutter speed following along from that. So let's say we want greater depth of field. We close down our aperture. The camera will automatically adjust the shutter speed downward in order to maintain the correct exposure. But if our shutter speed is too low, then we can quickly increase our ISO value, and the camera will automatically raise the shutter speed to something a little more desirable. But the reverse is also true. If that perfect opportunity for motion blur appears out of nowhere, a simple twist of my thumb can lower the ISO, thus lowering the shutter speed while maintaining complete confidence because I see all my settings in real time. And that's one of the big advantages of this workflow. This is particularly helpful with my Fujifilm X100VI because of the layout of the camera command dials, the aperture ring, and the built-in ND filter. I like this workflow so much, I set up my Sony A6700 in a similar fashion so I can quickly get the exposure sweet spot on that one as well. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one, and bye for now. Check out these videos to see how I set up my Fuji and my Sony for great exposure control using sensor gain priority.